Hi, everyone. Welcome to week 14 of data journalism. It's week 14 for this version of the class. For other classes, you might be seeing this video a little bit earlier. This is for the fall 2026 version of the course. Of course, we'll be working out of the modules in Canvas, or you can work out of the class Google Drive week 14, whichever you want. The schedule is right down here if you want to open that up, either on Canvas or in Google Drive. We also have a bunch of data sets to practice with that are in this work folder up here. And if you open that up, there's a bunch of data sets in here, spreadsheets. You can download those if you want. You can download the whole folder if you like. You can just go over here and click download and download the whole folder to your desktop and work out of there if you want to, or you can download them one by one. It's up to you. We've got two optional exercises in here. For later classes, these might become required, but for fall 2026, they are optional. The AI chart exercises is the one you want to open right now. We'll talk about the squirrel census one and some of the data scraping stuff with the Nevada voter registration data a little bit later. I do want to talk about some things with AI in the uses you have for AI with data visualization and data analysis. We'll do the visualization stuff's really fun, kind of easy. The analysis is a little different. It's much riskier too. It does, some of these large language models are known to make mistakes here and there, but they're also good at generating formulas if you're not sure of an Excel or a Google Sheets formula to use. The large language models are very good at building those, and you just fill in, the missing information, and away you go. You've got a great formula written. You don't have to go to a formula library or Google it anymore. You can actually just ask it, how do I add columns A and B together and divide by column C? And it will write the formula for you, and it will give it to you, which is great. You can also load the data set in there and ask questions of it. What happens when you add column A and B and divide by column C? But always double check the math, kind of in the old school way, which we've done in our previous assignments. So everything we've done in the first 13 weeks has been done with traditional data visualization software, traditional analysis software, spreadsheets or some other tool that we're using to analyze that data set. So AI is still considered, somewhat experiential in the world of data visualization and data analysis. But I think it's important because it is getting better at being able to analyze those data sets. Up here at the top, this is our weekly schedule. Got a link to the journalist toolbox, the data tools page. We also have a data scraping page. It has a lot of tools up here, a lot of training videos that if you want to experiment more with AI tools on your own, with these, some of these, we're going to cover today. This first video, in fact, right here is what we're doing in class today, as well as Notebook LM for infographics. So I'll talk about a lot of that throughout the training videos that we'll have for week 14 here. Also, Missing in Chicago. This is a project that the Invisible Institute and City Bureau right here in Chicago did, and won the Pulitzer Prize in 2024 for. It was a 2-year investigation into missing women in Chicago, the vast majority of which are African American women. And the reporters had to go through, and Trina Tytler and Sarah Conway had to pour over thousands of police records. Doing it by hand, it would have been next to impossible. It would have taken at least, 3 years probably go through and analyze that with a team of journalists. But they built a tool, worked with some web developers to build a tool that was able to go in and analyze these police records, and they could ask it questions, kind of its own little chat bot, and analyze these police records in a matter of minutes. It was still, a 2-year investigation. It took up a lot of time to look into this, but they were able to analyze this data and come up with just some horrific numbers that you can see here. You've got a link to it. You can go in and read the different parts of it. It's a 7-part series, and then along the way, it kind of provides some video, a lot of audio, as well as some very interesting data analysis in the story. as well as a lot of good visualizations. So they were really an early adopter of, they were using this in 2022 and 2023, early adopters of using AI as an investigative tool as well as a data analysis tool. So the project bears, looking at. I do some trainings for City Bureau, and they're fantastic. They're really a well-run organization. Good place to intern for if you're looking for an internship. So under number two here, I'm going to do some charts first, just kind of get us warmed up. You probably want to have Claude, ChatGPT, and Gemini open. You can use other tools for it, but we're just going to try some large language models at first and load a data set into them. And I'm giving you a prompt here as well, that's right here that you can just fill in the blanks with. And we're going to see if these large language models can build a static chart, much like a screenshot of some of your graphics, or if you downloaded a data wrapper, or download out of Flourish a static chart, and also see if it can do an interactive chart like we produced in both of those models as well. Mapping, it's not quite there yet. It's getting there. There are some AI-driven mapping tools on the market. Most of them, cost a little money. But the large language models for mapping aren't quite there yet. I've experimented some with them. Not really something we want to get into at this point. You could experiment with it if you wanted to. If you have a good mapping data set, you can load it into one of those and prompt it. But open up Claude, ChatGPT, and Gemini. Just hit pause and open those up. And also go into this week 14 subfolder and open up the homicides by year data. So hit pause and go ahead and do that right now. All right, welcome back. You should now have your ChatGPT and Gemini and Claude open, and download all of these. But maybe open up the Chicago homicides by year. This is a spreadsheet we've worked with before in this class for a couple of exercises. No surprises. It lists the year all the way up to 2025. We don't have 2026 data yet because it's not over. And then homicides listed in the other column. So a very simple bar chart you can construct out of this. And we've done that, using other tools, Flourish and Data Wrapper. You can do it in Excel or Google Sheets as well. It has a little chart making tool, not very good. But we'll see if these large language models can do a better job. In the summer of 2025, they made great strides, these large language models did, in being able to create these graphics. Before that, it struggled. So if you're here on our schedule, I've given you the prompt here. And you'll have to fill in, instead of chart Mike Reilley, you'll fill in your name there. And you'll just copy that. It's also on this exercise sheet as well. That's under number 2. You can see it here as well, the chart exercises, and again, they're optional for this class. And you might have to spread a couple of these exercises out over a day or two, because large language models, when you're creating graphics, it uses up a lot of tokens. For the free models that you're using, I'm using paid versions of this so I can create, several different types of charts. But eventually you run out of tokens for that day. You can't do it anymore. You have to wait till tomorrow. So if you're working with this and it stops, you won't let you, maybe try it the next day, for the second one that you built. So what I'm going to do here is upload into ChatGPT my data set of Chicago homicides by year. And I'll scroll down and find it here. It's right there. Hit open, and I'll put my prompt in. And again, when you're doing the prompt, you want to change Mike Reilley to your name. And I've written the prompt here, and I'm going to tell it. I only caught part of the prompt here. You need to get the whole thing. You are a data journalist creating a bar chart with an attached data set. It's important to assign it a role, because if it doesn't have a role, it's going to get confused and say, well, really, what am I doing here? So I'm telling you, you're a data journalist creating a bar chart with the attached data set. At the top of the chart, place this title. Anytime you prompt something, you want to have text appear on the chart or the infographic or the image. put that text in quote marks, double check your spelling to make sure it's right. Then it will pick it up word for word. If you don't put quote marks around it many times, it'll add words in or misspell words. It'll go kind of haywire. But that helps it understand. I want exactly this text here. In the lower left corner under the chart, place this text as the footer. Now, it doesn't really know what a footer is. It struggles sometimes with your jargon and language. And I'll hyphenate the lower left here. I'll change that on your prompt. And then I tell it in the lower left corner, put, source, Chicago Police Department, chart by Mike Reilley. Make the bars in the chart dark blue. So I give it a color. I could give it a hexadecimal color here, 6-digit hexadecimal color, and it would give me that color. It knows those hexadecimal colors. So I could give it a 6-digit color, like you see in Photoshop when you open up a photo or something like that. Produce both a static chart as a PNG. Static chart is just one you can't click on. It's just an image that you can upload to your website. And as a downloadable interactive chart, an HTML chart. We'll see if it can do both. So I'm going to start this in ChatGPT, and as it's running, it's going to start running Python. You'll see a little JavaScript in here, and it's thinking about it. It's going to start running it. While that's cooking, I'm going to go and put these in my other models. This is Claude. Claude is very good at analyzing data. It's pretty good too at doing charts and graphics. So we'll drop that in there. And then Google Gemini, which has come a long way. Oh my God, it's doing some fantastic work. And I can go in here and have it do videos, images, all kinds of different things. They just redesigned this left rail to have it do more. It used to have a little pull down menu called Canvas down here. But now, if you're just working out of their 3.5 Flash as of May 2020, late May 2026, it'll produce the chart. So I'm going to upload the file. I've got my prompt in there, and I'm going to turn it loose. And we'll see which one does the best job. Anytime I'm doing a task, and using a large language model, I don't use just one, I do multiple ones just to see which one's doing the best job. I kind of pit them against each other. It's also good at fact checking, especially if I'm doing analysis with a data set, which I'll do in just a minute. And I'm going to actually ask it, with the attached data set, which year had the most homicides, which year had the least, and see if it gets it right, because I've worked with this data set a lot. And sometimes it gets it right, sometimes it gets it wrong. That's why you don't just use one tool. You use several tools. The static ping chart, I can open that up. This is in ChatGPT. The chart looks good. This is typically what I see. The numbers dropped here. Then they spiked in 2016, spiked again during the pandemic, and have been steadily dropping, thank goodness, over the last 4 to 5 years. So I put my credit down at the bottom, put my header up here, my title. Pretty good. Now I can go back and do follow-up prompts and tell, hey, remove the box around it, or add horizontal lines across to demark each level. And then we'll open up the interactive HTML chart. It actually downloaded it. But we'll see here if it makes it visible. Here's one in Claude. It actually made the interactive chart visible right here. So as you hover over it, you see the numbers pop up. It's an interactive chart. Use a little different font and got the headline in here. Got my credit right. Very nice job. Very clean. Let's see if it gave me the ping file. It did. And there's a PNG file. Put the data on top of the bars. I would probably go back and tell it not to do that, just because it's small and very hard to read. It also did a good job of dropping the footer in here, the credit down here. But it's so small you can't read it. I would go back and prompt it again, tell it to increase the fonts a little bit. And your download buttons for the HTML and the PNG files are right here. So pretty good job on the interactive chart. Not so much on the other chart. Here on the interactive chart, it did a good job with the footer, but it made it too small for some reason on the PNG file. Just got to watch those little things like that. Unless you give it, tell it a specific font to use. So here my chart files are ready, and did a spectacular job. A little small on the fonts down here. This is Google Gemini, but did a fairly good job. And going through here, it kind of justifies, said exactly as, okay, recognize the quote marks around it. Color palette, it actually gives me the hexadecimal code here for the font, the 6-digit numbers. Use this dark blue hue. If you're a designer for a website, need an exact color, you would use this in here. And there's all kinds of color pickers. I've got them up on Journalist Toolbox under the design page. It can help you pick those off a color palette. They're pretty easy to find. We talk about it in some of my editing classes. And then interactive embeds, hover show details. Let me see if we've got the interactive chart here. It did not give me the interactive chart. So I'm going to tell it, oh, wait a minute, it does have, it has it listed here, a file tag. Can you produce the interactive chart so I can see it and download it? See, it gets hung up sometimes on things, and you have to go back and clarify a little bit more. AI is still a little touchy that way, and we'll see if it actually kicks through. There are other tools that you can use to create. Uh, okay, good. It's standalone file. Here it's actually running the code to do it. Still not giving me the chart that I can see in here. Yeah, it's a standalone web file. It's not letting me download it, which is interesting. I can actually download the JavaScript and the code, but I wanted to actually see the chart. So I'll give it a thumbs down and tell it it did not produce the interactive chart after 2 tries, which is kind of surprising because Gemini tends to generate pretty good ones. So I told it that I gave it negative feedback and told it, hey, it didn't produce what I was looking for. I wanted to actually be able to look at it in the screen. So this round, I think probably the winner here is Claude, although ChatGPT did do a pretty nice job with the ping file chart. Just a little small down here with the font. Not crazy about the box, but you can easily remove that. Some other tools that I list on our weekly schedule here down at the bottom that you can use to create infographics with and visualizations with: napkin.ai, mylens.ai, and julius.ai. I usually use these three. If I get a data set, I'm not sure what I want to do with it. Earlier this semester, you guys have downloaded and found data sets that you may or may not have used for your various graphic assignments and stuff. But if you have them now and want to experiment with them, you're like, what design should I use this for? Is it a line chart? Is it a bar chart? Would it work better as a timeline? I don't know what to do with this data set. These types of tools can help you kind of brainstorm. Sometimes you might be able to produce a final product out of it. I usually use them for brainstorming before I would take it into something like Data Wrapper or Flourish or something like that, or into some mapping tool. Julius is one of these. Julius.ai is free. It does have some paid upgrades to it, but you can just go into it and start experimenting with it. It'll do several things. It'll allow you to scrape data. Done some data scraping in here, and it also allows you to clean data. We've done some data cleaning in here. And it's got AI built into it. So when you go into Google Sheets, and you've done a little plugin with Julius, it's a little browser plugin. It'll pop up here, analyze with Julius. So if I've got a data set here, I can move it straight into Julius and start running analysis on it, which is pretty cool. If you click on your library here, it'll show some past projects that you had done. This is one that I was brainstorming and came up with the Chicago homicides chart. I was just using that. But one of the other ones I did, and this is a data set that I've given you, and I really wasn't sure what to do with it. It was big, clunky data set. So I dropped it in here, and I'll open it up in Microsoft Excel and show you. This is the 2018 uh, Central Park in New York, the Central Park squirrel census. Yes, they paid people with grant money. This was an environmental study on what to look for in Central Park for squirrels. And they sat in monitored like these 10 square meter areas of the park. And they documented what squirrels showed up, what color they were, was it a combination of colors. They gave longitude and latitude of where the squirrel was at. Was it during the day or night? And what date did they observe the squirrel? What was the squirrel doing? Was it running, chasing, eating, foraging? Had all these little activities. Um, were there anything going on with the tail? Was the tail twitching? I had all this data on these squirrels in here. And they've actually used this in some studies. I mean, everybody kind of giggles at it. And it's a great data set to learn on because it's got so many little parameters to it that you can break down about that specific squirrel. Well, I was looking at this, I'm like, what the hell am I going to do with this? So I just loaded it into Julius and said, come up with three graphics. I just wrote a prompt. See this attached data set. Come up with three graphics for me that illustrate this data set. And so it went to work. Frequency, it did a bar chart of frequency of squirrel activity. Now, I didn't tell it to do a bar chart. It just figured it out on its own. And it showed me that foraging was the most common activity of all those, what the squirrels are up to. Chasing is their least favorite because it's more than one squirrel, and oftentimes they're alone. What was the most popular age? Most of them were adults, only a few juveniles, and they kind of did that by size of squirrel there. So you could do it to brainstorm these ideas because I had no idea what I wanted to do with this data set. It just came up with some basic bar charts for me. I think this one's color. Yeah, see, it kind of messed up the credit line here. Sometimes large language models and these tools will drop the subject or the credit line right in here. That's when you go back and you tell it no, put it down in the far lower left corner, and it'll do it the second time through typically. Sometimes you'll need to try 3 or 4 times. So it does give you some different models and designs to work with. Sometimes they'll do some really wild things. This is the homicides by year. It gave me this as an option for one of the charts, and no, it doesn't work. So you can do some really interesting things with this if you upload the data set in there and brainstorm it. Julius is probably my favorite tool for doing that. MyLens.ai is another good one. You can add it into Google Chrome too, and have a little toolbar up here that automatically, if you're in a spreadsheet, just click the button and it takes the data set right into MyLens and starts visualizing. It's good for cutting down on time and saving you time, which is great. Another fun one is napkin.ai. And I've used this tool to brainstorm quite a bit. Doesn't always pick the right fonts or the right icons, but I loaded in some information about the history of the Women's World Cup, and it created this little timeline format for me. It gave me multiple models. You could go in and click on these little toolbars and switch out the fonts and the colors and things like that. Here's a written timeline. Here's a little bit more of a almost like a modified Venn diagram. Not a lot of relationship between each one of them, but it'll brainstorm ideas. You just hit new napkin and go in and look at them. The Chicago homicides by year, I looked at that one. And again, you can experiment with these or some of your own. And here it gave me, instead of a bar chart or a line chart of the homicides, it grouped them together by decades. And one of the things, I deleted them out of here because I didn't want them appearing. They're not published, but didn't want them appearing at all. It shows icons of like a person run over by a car. A bloody knife was in this one in the upper right corner. It's just like, oh my God, it deleted those out. It had another one here too, of something kind of gory. And it's just like, it made bad decisions, and here's some other ones. It did a vertical bar or horizontal bar chart of it as well. It just gave me some options. I never thought of maybe grouping it by decade or something, but it was kind of an interesting way to do it. It also cut it off at 2015, which I thought was kind of peculiar. But again, you can use it for brainstorming if you don't know what you want to do with this data set. You can also write a prompt and have it do the research for you. I would advise you against doing that. I've done this one, best practices for a hiring interview. It starts to go through steps. I don't know where it's pulling this from. So I'm always a little skeptical of it. I've loaded in the online reporting process, which we've talked about on the Redline project. We have those graphics and asked it to visualize the list. So I just hit new napkin and did that. So lightning bolt will generate new graphics for you. It usually pops up. Here it gives me some different looks to it. And obviously I can change the font color here. This one's kind of interesting. It uses the blocks and the icons. It walks you through kind of a vertical timeline look. And if I keep hitting that lightning bolt, it'll start giving me more looks at it. And I can swap out all these icons. Anything you click on, you can swap out almost anything on the page, which is nice. But I do see Napkin as one that I could actually take and use for an actual visualization. One last one I want to show you, and this is Google's Notebook LM. This is a free tool, notebooklm.google. It's linked off of your handout, not your handout, as well as your week 1 syllabus. It's right here. You can sign up for free with your Google credentials. If you want to hit pause right now, you can go ahead and do that. I'll give you a chance to get it all set up. And then I'll show you how you can use it. You can use it in a number of different ways. All right, welcome back. If you now have Notebook LM set up, you can log into it with your Google credentials and then hit try Notebook LM. One of the things I like about this is it always shows me 3 examples of how people are using it, other news outlets, or in this case, it's Our World in Data. The Economist appears up here quite a bit. Other publications, Forbes has done some really good ones. What it does is it allows you to upload an article or a series of articles, really anything, YouTube video. I do this sometimes with my training videos, and you can convert whatever you've loaded here. You just go up here and you'll click add. And I can't do it to this one because it's somebody else's work. It'll give you a little summary and a title. And then over here, you'll have buttons. And you can create infographics, you can create audio, video, slideshows, study guides, FAQs. You can prompt it down here to write an FAQ off of these. They did a series of articles here on a single topic. Sometimes, we can upload a series of articles from, the Redline project and built a graphic off of them. And, here's one. This is an infographic that it generated, and you can download this as a PNG file. You can create, it pulls all of the information only out of the material you uploaded into it. It does a pretty nice job. I mean, very rarely have I seen typos in this because it's pulling straight from your article. Now, if your article has errors or typos in it, of course, you're going to have some issues with your chart. It's kind of garbage in, garbage out, which is what we've talked about before in data journalism. If your data is dirty or if it's not good in some way or not formatted properly, it's not going to generate a good product at the end. You can also do little simple timelines like this. That's kind of cool. Videos, audio, turn it into a little podcast. Really some cool stuff here. It'll do a mind map as well. It'll take the article, or in this case, a group of articles, and develop it into a mind map that you can screenshot and download. The podcast you can download, the video you can download, and then move them up to SoundCloud or YouTube or wherever you're going to put them. This one's taking a little while. The mind map's taking a while to develop because you're looking over here. There's probably 25 articles they've uploaded. If it's just one article, it's a little easier. To create one, just hit Create Notebook, and you can do this if you want to hit pause. And you can upload files, drop in a website link, or sometimes I do this with my newsletters for Journalist Toolbox and have it develop a graphic or a podcast. Listen to the podcast of this newsletter rather than watch it or read it. Same with the training videos that I do. Sometimes I turn them into little graphics and stuff. So I'm going to upload an article that one of my students wrote a few semesters ago in my AI class. Taya Boric, her stuff is right up here, this PDF. And I've uploaded it, and anything over here that I add sources, gets analyzed and dropped into here. So if I add 14, 15 more things, I can add it in here. Now I can also search the web and add things in. Be very careful with that. You make sure it's good information that you vetted before you put it in here. And now I'm going to go in and start hitting some of these tools, and I'm going to have it generate an infographic. I can be very specific too. Do I want it to be landscape or portrait or square? The different visual styles. You can do black and white or lots of color. You can add colors down here, or, take the blue color theme and highlight the 3 key stats from this article in this graphic. So you can really give it detail, or you can just trust it to do whatever. You can keep going back and clicking and doing more. You can summarize your article in a data table. This article is probably not good for that. You can set up a quiz, an interactive quiz that you can link off to. The audio one's kind of fun. You can do it as a deep dive, maybe an 18-minute podcast, a brief, which is just a short article, a critique. If I want them to critique my article for me before I publish it, you can drop it in here. Everything in here is private, just like your Google Docs, until you hit the share button. So always make sure to hit the share button if you're going to publish something. If you're just going to download it, you don't need to hit the publish button. So here, I've selected just a brief, and I'm going to generate it. It takes a while to generate the audio. The infographics kind of humming here as well. You can do flashcards. The videos are kind of, they look kind of like a slideshow that's narrated by a host. The graphics are, very much done in Google Colors and things like that. Here it generated the interactive quiz based off of the article. You can go in here and answer the questions as you see fit. So, and then hit next. Now you have to publish this, you have to share it, and then link to it. Now, they don't have this embeddable yet. I'm hoping in the coming weeks and months that they will do that. So really, really cool little, you can pop it out, make it bigger, which is really nice. I'm hoping it'll make it embeddable. Here's the infographic, which is, tailored more to our class. This one, it did okay. I wasn't wild about some of the charts that it picked up here, or the icons it picked up here. It did a pretty good job of breaking down this little table. She talks about this in her paper. This is all, ethical risks versus the, copyright, kind of divides the 2 topics that she wrote about and does a little bullet point list with icons on each side. It's not bad, I would go back and probably prompt it and tell it, tweak a couple of the icons here. Color panel's pretty good, but it's a usable infographic. So there are other ways to do these visualizations than the traditional ways that we've always done them. So again, for the fall of 2026, this class, all this is experimental. So just take some time on your own to do this. It's week 14. It's basically the end of the semester. We're not grading anything. So if you want to experiment with it, share it with me, feel free. Keep in mind too that large language models in some cases can scrape data out of PDFs, even out of images too. Let me try one in real quickly in Chat GPT. So I'm going to do a new chat. Always start a new chat. And I'm going to upload a photo here, and the photo has handwriting on it. Convert Mike's bad handwriting into digital text. I want to see if it can do it. So I'll do that. I'll grab the handwriting one. Prompter, please extract the text from this image. It's got built into it what's called OCR software, optical character recognition software. And when you look at it, sometimes it gets it right, sometimes it gets it wrong. It might misread. My handwriting's pretty bad, and how it's telling me it wants to sell me codecs here. Convert Mike's bad handwriting into digital text. Mike Reilley got it right. Yeah. Popped up a little ad there because codecs will do some of this work as well. The middle ad is somewhat unclear, but it thinks it's this, and it did read it right. So, sometimes if you have a big, chalkboard full of people have written stuff up on the walls, or maybe an old public record that's been scanned in, or you've had to take a picture of a written document, and you need to be able to extract that text quickly. Maybe it's not just, this one sentence. maybe it's a lot of text, this conversion and this OCR software. There's other tools that'll do it as well. But boy, this sure makes it easy being able to do it in a large language model. So take some time and experiment with some of these tools. And just remember, AI is supposed to be there to help us be more efficient at our jobs and do things quicker. If it's taking us more time than it would be to use a spreadsheet or another tool, one of the visualization tools, it's probably not the best thing to use. But remember, AI is learning 24/7, 365. It's getting smarter, it's getting better, it's being trained on more material, and it's able to become much more useful to us in the data journalism, data visualization, and investigative journalism world. That's all for now. Thanks for watching the video, and have fun with those, experimenting with those data sets. You can use some of your own too if you want to. Take care. We'll see you, everybody.